Welcome to the PATH podcast, where we will travel the lives of some bold women, from dreams to detours to destiny. She did not choose this path chose her. This is the PATH podcast. Welcome back, everyone, to episode 4, part 2, the final episode with my guest, Legena Crawford, better known as I Am Pastor G. If you are new to the podcast, please go back to episode 4, part 1, to get the beginning of Legena's path. A quick recap for those returning. Legena and her husband experienced the devastating loss of their second child. After she felt that God pressed pause on her life, Legena knew therapy was required to heal and deal with her grief. Let's pick back up here on her journey. We all still got to keep practicing and learn, and all the lessons you learn or all the things you were taught, you still got to keep, going through that stuff over and over in your head, because little things will trigger emotion of the losses, and having your babies, losing, Ryan will deal with losing Ryan, and now you see little kids run around again. Here go people. Life is just going on still. Tell me, at what point did you and your husband come to the where, if you said, we're gonna, because there's a lot I know we don't deal with because of what you've gone through, but then when you made a point to say we're gonna try this again, or if you said that, or I mean, some of us would think it's unimaginable to say, okay, yeah, let's try again. But did you feel that way, or you just say let it be? Your faith, how was all of that playing into the coming to the conclusion and say we may try this again?
Once again, my mom kept asking me, but do you still trust God?
Mm,
And do you still have faith? And so, here I am. I'm like, I
uh,
had to ask myself.
yeah.
That was the question I had to ask myself. And I said, okay, let me ask myself that. Don't. At the time, it was like, okay, not don't. I didn't want to just give an answer just to answer, but
Yes.
it was, wait a minute. That is a question that I really do need to ask myself.
Yes.
And it was, yeah, I do. I do. I still believe. It was where, now I had moved on in ministry, had become, and now I'm an executive pastor, a co-pastor of a church. And, it was
And I was
another
about
level
to ask
of
you that.
ministry.
You were busy starting businesses again,
Yeah.
and some things. What were all the things that you were working on between, after when Ryan, did you just kind of go full force into work and business and the different things, as you were already starting to say, with you were starting to pastor, co-pastor and everything? So tell me what you were working on, like you were already started. I'm sorry I interrupted, but
No, no, no. I was,
did the book
co-pastor
come
the
in all that? I
church.
want to go into the book and what was all happening in between, or after Ryan, or were you writing the book already before all of that?
I think I started working on some things, some projects, and I think I did it to kind of get my mind off of things. And so it was, where okay, here's another life interruption.
Mm-hmm.
So I stopped doing some things, and then I'm a person where I'll get up and it's like, all right, dust yourself off. Let's go. Let's keep
Mm-hmm.
going. Let's keep
Mm-hmm.
moving. So it was where still in ministry, I hesitated. I didn't go back for a couple of weeks.
Uh-huh.
Um, didn't want to face people. So what I did was I went to different churches. Instead of pouring out, I needed to be poured into.
Yes.
So, it was coming to the realization of no, I'm not ready to pour back. I don't have it in me right now to pour out.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and being honest with myself. And it was
Mm-hmm.
like, no, I'm not ready to pour out. Let me get replenished. Let me
Mm.
rehydrate spiritually,
Yes.
so that I can pour out again. So it was after Ryan, I started school,
Oh.
working on my doctorate.
Mm-hmm.
So it was I think even with that, I think we bought a dog. So it was a
Uh-huh.
lot going on. So
Yeah.
it was all of those things to say, okay, what can I do to fill this void? What can I do to get past this point, this moment?
Yes.
Um So it was a lot that, went on. It was, okay, let me go now full force into, the power experience. And, so it was, all right, let's get back to life. Let's get on it. Let's go ahead. It
It sounds
happened.
like you got busy. Just you were
Yeah.
busy
It
doing
was
stuff.
like, all right, we done. I mean, and I think we both had gotten to the point where, and I'm not gonna speak for him totally to say, I don't know if he, wanted to try again, but for me, I think we had the conversation where it was like, all right, well, second time didn't work, must not be meant to happen. Hey, so let's go ahead and we'll adopt. No, we had settled on adoption.
You settled on adoption.
Settled on adoption. It was like, okay, second time it didn't happen. Yes, it was devastating yet again, but it was like, obviously, we ain't meant to do this. So let's go ahead and adopt, you
But
know.
did they tell you at that time if anything could have helped, like with since the cervix open, did they share with you any things to expect if you could do it? Because obviously you could get pregnant, where some
Mm-hmm.
women, with infertility, I've read what the differences in that is. Yours with Ryan was considered more stillbirth. Is that what they called it, or it's a
Yeah,
different?
they
It's a
kind of
type of
call it a
miscarriage,
stillbirth,
but
even though he was, alive when he came out.
mhm,
They kind of, I think, categorized it still as a stillbirth.
it's stillbirth.
Um, but there was, honestly, there's just like nothing, to my understanding, there's just nothing you can do. It just happens.
It just happens.
It just
So
happens.
okay, so you said okay, you and your husband decided okay, we'll adopt,
Hmm.
because I'm sure you felt like you did not want to go through
I was like, we're not doing this no more.
anything like you were against that, of course,
Oh yeah, we're not doing this again.
understandable,
No, we're not
because your
doing this.
body you're going through so much, both
Hmm.
your emotions are both going through so much,
Yeah.
and that's a lot, so I
Oh,
can
it's a
imagine
lot.
coming to that point. You
Yeah.
work,
So I decided, no, we're not doing this. We're
we're not
good.
doing. So we're adopt. So you started kind of like looking into, eventually, I guess, start looking into maybe some considering that adoption. But then in the meantime, you said you started the power experience, which is what is the power experience first?
So the Power Experiment started in 2013. So we Reggie
For
didn't
Ryan.
come
Okay.
until 2015. I mean, Ryan
Okay.
didn't come to 2015.
Yeah.
So it was that whole thing of, okay, so it was in that period, that time frame between Reggie and Ryan. Well, let me get back to life. Let me go
Okay.
ahead and start doing some things that I know that I'm purposed to do. So I started the Power Experience, organizational consulting. My thing is helping other people and that kind of, so getting into the thick of that, really trying to find my way, trying to find my niche in that. And,
Yes.
again, now, hey, boom, you're pregnant. So that slows down. It
Yes.
slows down. It's like, okay, ooh, no, we're not doing this. So let's concentrate on the pregnancy. Let's
Yes.
concentrate on, and then after the pregnancy, it was like, well, okay. Um, so let's go back to school.
Let's go back to school. So
Hey,
that's what
let's
you're
let's
in
you know
school
let's
doing your
let's do
doctor,
something else.
working on your
You
doctor.
know, working on
Yeah.
my doctor. So let's do something else. All right. So I had made up in my mind that, okay, this is not going to happen for you.
Yes.
So be okay with it.
Hmm.
And there are other options. All right, keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
Keep it
So let
moving.
me ask this: you're working on all of that. You say you're co-pastoring, but you're I call you Pastor G.
Hmm.
So tell me, how did that come about? In the middle, if it's between Ryan, after Ryan, that you were starting to say, okay, I am going to be a pastor, because you were working in the church, you were co-pastoring at
Hmm.
at a church. And did God give you that after Ryan, or He's told you that before Ryan and you started it after Ryan, considering a church?
It came 2 years after Ryan. 2 years after Ryan. So I was about a year and a half after Ryan. It
Okay.
was that was not something that I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like a, okay, well, yeah, all right, let's start a church. Let's run a
Okay.
marathon. It was none of that. It was, I'm cool, co-pastor being cool. All right, hey, just let it run its course.
Yes.
I'll do my ministry thing. With the power experience, we got that. Go to school, get your doctorate. I and all is well with the world.
No,
So it
yeah.
was that
And
part.
trust me,
I'm cool.
everyone,
I'm
I can
comfortable.
vouch.
I'm good.
She
You
was
know,
not looking to be no one's pastor alone,
it was not.
not in her own church. she had a different vision again. Like I say, we all have our, she thought she would probably be that pastor, like a Joyce Meyer type, that go out and preach and minister, come back to her home church and as co-pastor, and just working in that ministry like she did so faithfully. So God gave you the vision to start a church. So you're in that thick of it, starting to put some things together. I'm guessing, to put all the. She's such an organized person. Again, if you read her bio, she is doing Let me see what it is again. Organizational leadership. So she's such an organized person, I must say. So I'm pretty sure she's organizing everything. Then tell me what happens in the midst of you trying to prepare for the start of a church.
So I want to say January 2017. It was like, it hit me, like it hit hard. So I woke up one night in the middle of the night and I'm just crying. I'm just bawling. I'm just like, oh my gosh, And so my husband's like, what in the world is wrong with you? And I was like, God won't leave me alone. God won't leave me alone. So he's having this moment like,
everyone.
Tantrum, having a spiritual temper tantrum. And so he's looking at me like, he said, well, what's wrong? Well, what's going on? Now he wants me to pastor. Now he wants me to pastor. And so, he's looking at me like, okay.
We'll do it.
So yeah. So he said, so you didn't know? He said, I knew that. So, I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me if you knew?
Like he told you about
you're supposed to love me enough to tell me what, so it was this whole emotional thing. So, I talked to a couple of friends, talked to a couple of people, and everybody that I talked to was like, you didn't see it coming? No. No. Did not see it coming. So, in the process of planning and that kind of thing, and
I don't think she saw it coming, everyone, because she probably fought against thinking that way. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
I did not see that coming. I was like, what? You want me to do what? No, we're not doing that. That is not what we discussed.
Yes.
So it was where it was like, okay, all right, well, it would not leave me alone. So, my talking to my pastor at the time, he laughed. He laughed at me because he and I had the conversation, and I am just in tears. I'm just falling. And so he's laughing at me because he's like, okay, I know this is real because you sitting here crying. That is not you.
She is not that emotional.
That is not you.
Like me, I'm a weeping Mary that used to laugh and call me. Wow.
So he knew it was real. He knew it was real. And he's like, honestly, he was like, I was just waiting on the time. He said, I knew it was coming. I didn't know when, but I knew it was coming. So, he's laughing. He's just like, okay, all right. See, I knew it was going to hit you. But he's laughing more so at how I'm reacting to this thing. Exactly. And, just talking to different people there. And of course, it's nobody shocked but me.
Shocked but you. The one. Yes. No one.
So we started, my husband and I, we started planning.
Yes.
Started planning for the church.
Being obedient. You started planning. A month or so, I'm not sure if it's that long, goes on. That's 2017 again.
2017.
And in the midst of your planning, what other plans came about?
We were on we were on vacation in May of 2017, and I wasn't feeling well the entire vacation, and so I went to breakfast one morning, and he looked at me, and I had started to become a coffee lover. So coffee had become my thing. So when we went to breakfast, he asked, was I going to get coffee? And I said, I'm not, I don't really want to, I don't feel like, I don't have a taste for it. And so he stopped and he looked at me and he laughed. And of course I'm like, what's your problem? He said, you're pregnant.
He knew the
thanks. So, of course, me, thanks, Dr. Crawford. Okay, thanks. And so, I'm going to stop. Let's stop by the pharmacy so I can get something for this nausea because it is just not. I don't know if it's a stomach bug. What is going on? So we're on the way back home, and he's like, you know what? Let's just go to the doctor tomorrow. Let's just kind of see what's going on, just to make sure you're okay, and it's not you're having some stomach issues or something that's kind of really serious. So we get to the doctor that Monday. Um, and interestingly enough, I had just picked up information about a weight loss surgery procedure.
Mm.
And I was supposed to go to the greeting session that Thursday.
You're kidding. Wow.
And I said, well, God, if you don't want me to do this weight loss procedure, then you need to let me know. Me be with my sarcastic self. You need to let me know if you don't want me to do it, because I'm tired of being this. So if you don't want me to do it, then you need to let me know. So I'm supposed to go to this meeting on Thursday. Monday afternoon, we get to the doctor's appointment, and she comes in the room and says, "Congratulations." And I said, "For what?"
Just as bright-eyed as you want to be. For what?
For what? Congratulations. What are you congratulating us for? And she's like, you're pregnant. And I said, with what? Purpose? Yeah, we all are.
Relationship. She makes me laugh all the time, even for some serious things. But and she's honest about how she responds. And you said, for what? And she said,
you mean pregnant with a purpose? Because yeah. Congratulations to you too, because you're pregnant with everybody. Yeah, we all pregnant with a purpose.
We all have purpose.
Yeah. And she's like, no, you're pregnant. And so, and I remember asking her, I was like, how you know? It just came out just, and I love her so much. I mean, she was with me when I was pregnant with Ryan. So, she was with me. And I was like, well, how do you know? So like, are you sure? And so she was like, well, let me go back and take another blood. And she said, no, I'm not testing you again. You are, and we're going to have this baby this time.
Yes.
And so, my husband looked at me and said, it was nice doing business with you. Thanks, God. Thanks.
Yes. He said that to the doctor?
No, he said that to me. Nice doing business with you. So I'm thinking, third time. And I'm like, how do you know every single time?
Yes.
So, he has to go back to, I think he had to go back to work. And so I'm driving home like by myself, and I'm sitting in the car speechless.
I can imagine. The third time.
And I'm sitting in the car, and again, God and I are having this conversation. I'm like, are you serious? You gonna do this again?
So you had to have that conversation with him because you're like, okay. Seriously, like you said. So let me ask you this, with the initial shock and everything and moving forward, because I know I get so wrapped up into my stories with the timing. Because of the timing, did the doctor, y'all have that sit down eventually to say, okay, what do we do this time? Was there anything that they could say we probably should do or recommend to you, or they just said, no, let's just go with this?
Well, I immediately, because I went to my primary care. She's the one that told me I was expecting. And so I immediately, called my OBGYN, and, we talked about my history before. So I had been with them, since Ryan. And so we talked about it. We went in, made the appointment, talked about it. We talked about the last pregnancy, the previous pregnancy. And we talked about, okay, this is what we're going to do this time. So, I was thankful to still have been with the same, doctors to say, hey, and we know the history. However, we're not looking at the history in a negative sense this time. Okay, here's the plan. So, and I encourage people, get somewhere where you can ask questions, be around healthcare professionals where they're going to treat you as if you are the only patient, you're their only person. It's not like, well, we just kind of leave it a chance. No, here's the plan. So, we talked about the cervix, the issue with the cervix.
Yes.
And, we talked about, okay, here's what we're going to do this time.
Good.
Now that we know what happened the last time, hey, let's keep a watch on it. Here's what we're going to do. So it was reassuring, but still in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, here we go. So, of course, they could not stitch my cervix until a certain amount of time. So there was the waiting period.
Oh, wow. So she made a decision that they would stitch the cervix because of what happened last time.
Right.
But still, in doing that procedure, they couldn't do it until a certain amount of time.
I think I had to wait about 12 weeks. Yeah.
So here we go again. This is someone who has lost 2 babies. And now you have to still wait.
I have to still wait.
How was that for you?
It was very unnerving. It was where, I was afraid to sneeze, afraid to cough, afraid to do anything. So, it was that fear where it was, God, I'm really trusting you. And now looking back at it, it was, I had to trust him. I had to trust him, even in the midst of that. I remember there was a time where I got up from the couch or something and I started bleeding very heavily.
Even in this pregnancy, you mean?
Even in this pregnancy. The third pregnancy.
Now, this was before you had the procedure done?
It was before the procedure.
Okay.
It was before the procedure. So here it is again. We're calling the ambulance. I'm dialing 911.
The stress alone could have caused damage for you and the baby to go into stress. But okay, so you call the ambulance and
I'm calling 911. My mom is calling 911. I'm screaming. I'm just like, so my mom, and thankfully my husband had just gotten home. Yes. And so, we're all, he's the most calm one in the house. My mom is trying to make sure I'm okay. He's trying to make sure my mom and I are okay. So he's like, so here it goes again. I'm back in the ambulance.
And that's what you think. Here we go again.
Here we go again.
As a human being, all you can think is, you just think of where was your faith? Because I know from me knowing some of the story, you had people camped around you praying.
Oh yeah.
Already.
Definitely.
Once you told everybody, I don't know if you had told everybody at that point or not, but so you
had. And I had not told everybody. Okay. I only told those people that I knew who were genuinely praying. Not to say that everybody wasn't genuine, but I knew those people that I could trust, those people who I could call on, those people who I could say, "Hey, here we go again." Yes. So I need you to pray. And here's the kicker. So when we got to the hospital, the emergency room, it was the same emergency room that I had been in, same hospital, same emergency room that I went in the day that I was admitted with Ryan.
Really? Now that was the time, that's when you were at the point where you were bleeding? You're kidding. So what did you were paying attention that much already?
That much.
Anxiety, I'm sure, because of you bleeding, and you noticed enough that the room you were going in.
It was the same room because the direction we were going in. Wait a minute, where are we going? Wait a minute, this looks familiar. Wait a minute. Are you serious? You're going to be in the same emergency room? Seriously? Did you? When I tell you, I just didn't know what to say. I just had to lay there. And I was like, okay, God, I don't know what you're doing. So I called a friend of mine, a very good, dear friend of mine. And she, she started praying. And so, it was that was all I could rely on.
They put you in the same room.
Same room.
You delivered and lost your baby in.
Well, this was the same room. We hadn't even gotten to the delivery room yet. I mean, this was just the same emergency room.
Same emergency. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yes. Same emergency room. So that part came later.
Okay.
So it was the same emergency room. And I'm like, this is the same emergency room where they took me to be admitted from the last pregnancy. What are you really? So, God, now, like, okay, so what are you really doing? What are we doing?
Yeah.
If you just give me a sneak peek into what we're doing, I might be a little bit, be okay.
He does not do that, does he?
He does not do that. So it was a trust me factor. It was a trust
Well,
me. I
but your
got
mother
you.
has been saying to you all along, do you trust me?
Do you trust him? So, of course, the two of them are like, okay, we just go. And my mom is very solid in her face, very like, okay, what? No, we're going to pray. We're going to trust God, and my husband and I are like, okay, okay. So, of course, he's looking at me again, like, we just going, baby, we just got to ride this one out. I don't know what's
Yeah.
going on either.
Yes, you don't know. So, okay. So you in there
And
and
there, they check
yeah.
me out, and baby's fine.
Wow. Did they
And so they
what
don't know
caused
what they
it?
don't know what happened. They don't know.
That's God. Maybe sometimes we always have to ask, is that him saying, okay, if I do this, will you trust me?
Yeah,
If I do that, will you trust me?
yeah.
Are you gonna
So
stand?
there was no explanation. It was sometimes it happens.
And once again, your cervix is still not closed at that point.
Service
I
is still
mean,
not closed at that point. No.
well, the procedure the doctor wanted to
Yeah.
do to sure it stayed
Yeah.
closed.
Yeah. The cervix
Okay.
was closed. Yeah. The procedure had not taken place yet.
Okay. So they released you that same day.
I went back home because there was nothing they could do.
So you go home. I'm sure you're not wanting to do anything.
Mm-mm.
You probably just sat and
I
just was
I think
cautious
I
about
went
what.
I think I went upstairs and that was it. I'm not moving. I don't want to do anything. But of course, I'm still having to go to work. So, still having to get up, still having to do some things. It was like, no, that fear set in. So I had to, it wasn't until um, I got the procedure done that I was a little bit better.
How much longer after that? Okay, let's move to the point where you had the doc. You went in, and one more thing is some women don't have to go through. You had to have the procedure to have your cervix stitched. And what do they call
Hmm.
that when they do that
A
procedure?
cerclage. They
A
call it
cerclage.
cerclage. Hmm.
So that meant they sewed the cervix up just to reassure the fact that it won't open on its own, right? Before
Right.
time.
And the procedure's not necessarily guaranteed.
It's not really oh yes, it's not really guaranteed.
It's
I
not
think I read
guaranteed.
that about that. It's not guaranteed, and there are a lot of things to be cautious of around that time
Yeah.
with something like that, and making sure the baby is okay, making sure it's a lot that goes into that. It's not just like it's a simple stitch and we don't have nothing to be concerned about.
Right. Right.
Tell me a little bit about once you really fast what you're going through during this pregnancy. How was it for you? Still, were you after you had was able to get to the period of having the procedure, and now you just going through your pregnancy? How was it in that fifth month when a lot has always happened? The fourth, fifth month is when a lot always happened. Did you think
It
back
was
past to?
it was still intense because I think I had to go back to the hospital for dehydration.
Oh, mm-hmm,
So, it was dehydration and I started spotting,
mm-hmm.
so there was still some spotting at some points. And it was just unnerving. I mean, it was a constant. I was afraid to do anything, afraid to go to the bathroom, afraid to cough, afraid to sneeze, afraid to go up and down the stairs. I'm still having to, even past the summer months, having to go to work, so now I'm having to get up and go to work. And my doctor tried to reassure me, oh no, she's like, you're okay, you don't need to panic. But mentally it was no, I'm going to be
Mentally, yeah.
overly cautious, so thankfully where I was in terms of work, we had to go up and down the steps, but there was an elevator there.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say my coworkers were awesome,
Wonderful.
they saw after me. They took my kids to lunch. They took my kids to the other side of the building. So all I had to do was show up, get on the elevator, go to my classroom.
Teach.
and teach. It was okay after school, they took my kids, to where they needed to be. It was all right. So even if I had to, and where I was for after school duty, get on the elevator, go down, go watch the kids, get your stuff, and go home. So we know when I tell you that was a blessing,
Yes.
up until, when I went on, up until me going on maternity leave, even them going on a field trip. No, you stay here. We'll get somebody to go in your place. You don't need to be doing it. So it was they knew, what had happened in the past. And it was like, no, we're not, no, we this is our baby. So, it became our baby.
And this baby became everybody's baby because of
Everybody's
everyone
baby.
praying. It was from your personal life to your, now that we see in your professional life, everybody's looking after, because it's like, we're going to get this baby. We're going to believe for this baby, and we're all going to do our part to help to make sure. So you had a village around you that was trying their best to do parts to help in what way they could. That's a blessing.
And we had, and this pregnancy was different. Although, it was very stressful. And my mom tells anybody, she said, "Ooh, this was hard. This was difficult." But it was where every trimester, at the beginning of every trimester, we had prayer.
Wonderful.
At the beginning of every trimester, we gathered our close family and friends, and we prayed.
Wonderful. Something
We
you shared
prayed.
at one point. What did you say with all the prenatal care? You mentioned something to me about praying being a major part of that.
Pray that prayer, that piece of prayer, that piece where people speaking over, over your life, people speaking, every doctor's appointment. I had somebody I was calling or, texting, "Hey, we're going in for this today. Hey, we're going in." So I looked at that as a part of the prenatal care. Even were people that I could call who would say, "Hey, it was a nurse," and I thank God for her. It was where I could call her and say, "Hey, this is going on, that's going on." She was a woman of faith. She is a woman of faith.
Yeah.
So it was where there were people that I could call who were spiritually sound to say, "Hey, y'all, we're going in for this today." So it was where people actually gathered at our house, and we would pray. But it wasn't everybody. It was just those people that we knew who were really believing. It's like, "Oh no, this time we doing it." We all bombarded heaven,
Oh yes.
for this one. So, it was
Two or more are gathered.
it was,
That's what, yeah.
we took that seriously, very literally,
Yes.
So
Look, everybody, I'm always talking to Pastor G, so I'm always making her laugh when I try to. I'm not saying that's that is a scripture.
Yeah, you did good. You did good.
And she always gives me credit, like, "Okay, good. Yeah,
good.
two or more agree," because I remember being at your house, you and your husband's house, where you had a group of people. We were in in your living room, and everyone went through prayers for her and the baby. So she's telling you the things. Everybody prayed her through this pregnancy, as well as in her house herself. So that is key, is part of the prenatal care prayer.
That's a part of your prenatal care. You're spiritual, that spirit part of you, that spirit man. That's what, oftentimes we think it's limited to the vitamins and the doctor's appointments. And it's no, that's a part of your prenatal care as well.
That's a part of your prenatal care. So, okay, I just want to touch on real fast. All of this, what happened to your planning with the church? Were you still in the planning process, or because everything became so overwhelmingly trying to make sure you did everything, what did you do with the planning that you and your husband had started for the church?
Oh, I stopped.
You stopped?
Because I knew. I said, "Oh, okay." So, that kind of gets me off the hook.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you thought just because God said, "I'm gonna bless you and your husband again," that was a way to get out of becoming a pastor.
Yeah.
Okay. See, everyone, I'm glad she brought that point, so it can still show you that she was like, I'm not supposed, you didn't want, I'm not pastoring. I don't need to, I'm fine where I am. I'm fine doing what I do.
Where I am.
She thought that was
doing what I'm doing.
like, even if she had the baby, that this wasn't gonna still could happen. So, okay.
That was cool. I was like, "Okay, well, hey, that gets me off the hook. One less thing I have to do. All right, cool. Thanks, God."
Thanks, God. So now let me get back on to doing what I'm supposed to have this healthy baby. Okay, let's move forward. Let's talk. What is the due date for this baby?
His due date was December 25th,
Okay.
and then they changed it to January 5th.
Okay.
So yeah, the original due date was December 25th.
The day Jesus was born. So to me, that would have been okay. This baby has to come. If he's going to be born on the same day our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ was born, this baby has to be our miracle baby, miracle baby. So let's move into going through the normal. We went month 5, 6, looking good. 7. I mean, I'm gonna keep moving unless you tell me to stop between anything that major that happened between these months. 7 going well, month 8 going well.
I started opening up a little bit.
Yes.
So I want to say around that end of the 7th into the 8th month, started opening up a little bit. And so of course that was cause for concern, was like, oh, are you serious?
Yes.
So it was going to the doctor's appointments and that kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, everything's good, but it looks like you're starting to open up a little bit. What? So of course.
Yes, it kind of threw you back into those years.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. But, so, still praying, still having people to pray, still having people to, to really speak over this situation and speak over this pregnancy and speak over this child. So yeah, that's how we got through it.
Wow. That is hard to have to hear. It's opening up a little bit. And thankfully you were still about, that was, you said 6 to 7 or 7 to 8?
It was between that 7th and 8th month. Yeah.
Okay. Because they say, at least we know you're much further, but still everybody knows it's best if, God put a time that baby be there. So we all strive for that time so that baby can come out as, fully developed as possible.
Right.
So you go into month 8, we had the baby showers, you're feeling like, okay, this is happening. So tell me this, I can remember some things. There's some in December. Here we come December. The month, the miracle baby is coming. What were you feeling around that time? Did you get to hear now like, oh my goodness, this?
It was just really surreal. I mean, it was like, having the baby shower, experiencing the baby shower, and looking at all of the gifts. It was like, oh my goodness. And experiencing that moment, even at the baby shower, we were talking about how this was not the normal baby shower. We ended the baby shower. I mean, it was prayer.
Yes.
It was people laying hands. It was, it was, hey, no, I mean, it was very spirit filled. Yes. And so, we're getting past the baby shower, I'm going through these last couple of days at work and, getting to the point where now I have to go through another procedure, to remove the stitch. So that in itself was like, okay, here we go. All right, here we go.
The stitches before at a certain point as well.
At a certain point.
So again, everyone, that's another part of her process that she had to deal with.
Yeah.
And how much time between that and before? I know they couldn't say, okay, you're going to give birth exactly on the 25th, because who knows sometimes. So now you have to go through all that time. You had to go through all that time now trying to be cautious you feel like, I'm sure. Were you scared?
Oh, definitely. It was about another 2 weeks. It was about another 2 weeks before, I actually went in to have. So it was that time where it's like, I put myself on bed rest. I did.
Okay. Wait. Did the doctor say, Ms. Crawford, you need to be on bed rest?
Nope.
You put your own self on bed rest.
Yep.
I try not to laugh so much. Okay, you put yourself. What did your husband and your mothers think about this? They just like.
I mean, they look. Let me look. I was like, look. Let me tell you, we are not going through this here. I've come too far.
Yes.
No, we're not
Yeah.
doing this. So, and I think it was to that point where both of them were like, let her do whatever she wants to do.
Exactly.
Whatever she wants
Exactly.
to do. So,
You
first
just
my
want
doctor's
her,
like,
yeah.
we just want everything to go well. So my doctor's like, no, she's fine, no, everything. She was like, she was Jamaican. So she was like, the baby's not going to fall out. How you know the baby ain't gonna fall out? So no, we're not gonna do this. We're gonna
Yes.
go ahead and Legina's gonna go ahead and declare herself a doctor and put herself
Yes.
on bed rest.
Yes. Yes.
And that's where I was. Thankfully, I was on maternity leave already. So it was nothing more than just me going to the doctor's appointments and going back home. So yeah, I mean, I remember that day. I mean, that I remember the day we went in to the hospital. I remember the day.
You remember, so you went into the hospital. I remember that day as well. So tell me about that day when you went in the hospital, because I did come. And when I came, I was not expecting to stay the entire time. My daughter and I, we were just coming just to, want to support
Mm-mm.
and be there for her and the family, and ended up staying through the whole. And
Mm-hmm.
well, let's get to that point. Okay.
I went in on a Friday and I
Yes.
had a doctor's appointment so that and my mother-in-law was here at that time. So it was my mother-in-law, my mom, my husband, and I went to the doctor's appointment. And I remember going to the doctor's appointment and I told her, um, no, we had gone to breakfast first. We had gone to breakfast first and then went to the doctor's appointment. And so, we had this nice little family breakfast and went to the doctor's appointment. And I remember telling, the nurse, I was like, okay, they're taking your temperature and writing things down. And I told her, I said, okay, go ahead and add, I'm over this. Go ahead and put that down on that paper. I am
Over.
over this.
Yes.
So, she laughed and I said, no, 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 you don't understand. I need you to go ahead and write that on that paper. And on those notes, she is over this.
Yes.
So it was 38 weeks. So,
Uh-huh.
it was the whole piece where, okay, I'm done. I'm good. I think we're good. I think he's baked long enough.
Yes.
So
Okay.
it was where we went and she didn't, she thankfully my doctor was like, okay, yeah, we want to make sure that, we don't want to keep him in too long,
Yeah.
because we still want to make sure that everything's okay and that. So we don't want you to go past your due date. So it was where it was, yeah, okay. And then I started developing a lot of pressure. So just a
Okay.
lot of pressure and to relieve that pressure. So went to the doctor's, and that day she scheduled me to go in that evening.
Wow.
So
Wow.
we left the doctor's office, we went to the grocery store, and I'm sitting outside the grocery store on this bench, and people are just walking by, oh, and I'm
Yes.
sitting there looking like,
Everybody loves a pregnant woman.
yeah, it's like, oh. And so, I'm looking like, okay, so in the grocery store, like, okay, what, like that, well, we need to stock up. We need to, so, hey,
Yeah.
go ahead and do whatever you're going to do.
Uh-huh.
Because we went home and, got everything scheduled and just the excitement of,
Of course.
going back to the hospital. And so we're getting there and, I'm sitting there and they're wheeling me back. And so
Mhm.
as they wheeled me back, um, here's the room. So I'm going to this room
Uh-huh.
and I look at the room number and I look at the room, the actual room where they're taking me. And it was the very same room where I delivered Ryan.
You're kidding. What now you going into the room, the same room you delivered your second baby,
It
Ryan.
was the very same room. So we're going into this room and I'm thinking, clearly, you're not taking me in here.
That's
You're
what you
not.
said
You're
to
not taking me in
the
here.
nurse.
That's what I'm thinking to myself.
Oh, okay.
And so, I think my husband saw my facial expression and he looked at the room and I think he looked at the room number and was like, oh no. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. So, of course, we get in the room and we talked about it. And so he went and he and my mom went and talked to the nurse and
Mhm.
kind of explained, my hesitation about going in. And so she said, well, the only other room we have is 2015, 2015. I ain't going in there either.
Yeah. So wait, this room you were in was 2009. That was Reginald's room.
2009. That was
Yeah.
the year
Okay.
that I had
And
Reginald.
so,
Yeah.
of course, they tried to get you the second room. The second room now is Ryan's room.
It's 2015. That's the year. Yeah, I was like, oh no, 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 we're not doing this. So my mom had to stop and talk to me. She said, let me tell you something. You have made it this far.
Amen.
Don't that is nothing but the enemy trying to instill fear in you. So you're gonna go in this room and you're gonna have this baby. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. She always does that with her mother now.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
That
ma'am.
settled it, right?
That
Yes.
settled it. So I got into the room and I'm thinking, so here we having this conversation again. God, are you serious?
Of all the numbers,
Of
everybody, hospitals,
in this big old maternity women's
ward,
ward,
you give me the 2 rooms.
these are the only 2 rooms you got. Can't be.
Wow.
So
Wow.
and she literally said, she said, these are the only 2 rooms that we have right now. The only 2.
Wow. And your mother was correct. You're not gonna let the enemy do that. And then you have to wonder, it's like, okay, Lord, what is the deeper meaning to this thing?
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
So and that's what I did. I stopped and I said, okay, clearly you trying to tell me something.
Yes, yes.
And so I kid you not, the Holy Spirit was like, I'm going to finish. God is saying, I'm going to finish what I started in the same room.
Wow.
You're going to birth this. You're going to birth this baby in the same room. I'm going to finish what was
Wow.
started in this room. It
Wow.
was because of what happened in that room in 2015. It led to me getting healing in some areas that I was not aware of that I need healing in.
Wow.
So when he took me to the room, that's where the healing started, in that room.
In that room.
So I'm going to continue to birth something even in the midst of the pain that you went through in that room. So that's why I tell people, stay in the room.
Stay in the room. Yeah,
Stay in the room.
she's gonna stay in the room.
Stay in the room. Stay in the
Mm.
room. Oftentimes we like to get up, and because things are so painful, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to experience it. I don't want to talk about it. We leave the room.
Yes, we do. Yes. And you
We
need
leave
to
the
stay in
room.
the room until your healing comes and
Yeah, stay in the room.
uh, until you process what's happening at least,
Yeah,
and at least
stay
find
in the
something.
room. Yeah.
Yes.
So that was what came out of that, and that didn't dawn on me until recently. I think we were doing a Bible study, and there's these chairs, and it was like, oftentimes we get up, and if it becomes uncomfortable, if it becomes, too painful, if we get angry, if it makes us frustrated, we get up and walk away. I don't want to deal with this.
Yes.
So we start playing, spiritual musical chairs, where we're hopping from chair to chair to chair. And eventually, let me just leave the room. And
Yes.
God is saying, he had to tell, no, you going to stay in this room, because I'm
Yes.
going to birth something in this room.
This
You're going
room.
to give birth in this room. So when I tell you, that was,
That's deep.
even in the midst of that, I mean, I didn't realize I had an audience.
Wow. Yes, you did.
I mean, it was like, wait, it could have been like one of those Lifetime documentary TLC shows. So I'm looking up and I'm like, a lot of people in this room.
Remember being in one at one time, and the doctor was about to check you, because I think he eventually they were checking you, of course, like they
Yeah.
normally. And I'm sitting here like, I'll move over. Me and my daughter walked out. We'll walk out, and it's like, don't do it while we're here. We know we're family, but
Mm-mm.
I want to give her that respect still, even though we wasn't going to be on the end. But still, let us just walk out the room. Let mom and mother-in-law and husband stay if they choose to, but I'm leaving.
But
So
it was so fun. I mean, it was just, it's like, wow. So, I mean, it was, even during that time, it was, my blood pressure kept dropping. So even in the midst of the delivery, it was still some things that were happening, some things that were going on. And it was, so we went in Friday night, he didn't come until Sunday morning.
yes. like 4 something that morning, I think it was.
4:08. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
4:08 Sunday morning, Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve, everyone. He came Christmas Eve. And
Mm-hmm.
it all, everything that's happened, your whole journey
Mm-hmm.
through your path to your third baby.
Yeah.
And he came on Christmas Eve. It still seemed like it's just so crazy to me how he came around that timing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now tell me, so how was you he came 408 that day, healthy baby,
Mm-hmm.
no problems. And what is his
Mm-mm.
name?
His name is Logan.
Logan. Everyone, let me tell you, I know this baby, so I took this through our interview. Logan is everybody's baby.
Everybody's
So
baby.
because when Logan came, it's just like it was some celebration that
Mm-hmm.
you couldn't imagine. It's the
Mm-hmm.
people who walked with her, she and her husband at the time through this whole process. It became such a blessing
Yeah.
of this
Yeah.
baby. It's like this baby they prayed for, this baby they waited for, and
Mm-hmm.
this baby they went through a lot of ups and downs
Mm-hmm.
throughout. And Logan's like, I'm here. And when I
Logan's like,
tell you,
I'm here.
this baby, she can tell you better than I can. When I tell you, I think he's all three boys wrapped up into one.
He is. He is. He is.
he he is. Oh my goodness! You tell me about Logan. Since Logan's, tell me about Logan.
Logan is a very interesting child. He is, I tell people as soon as he came out, um, how I wasn't aware that they put, there's a salve that they put in the eyes of the baby to kind of clear out all of the,
Mm-hmm.
the things through
Yeah,
the fluids and everything of
fluid.
pregnancy. And so I look at this kid and I'm holding this child and he's not even an hour old.
Uh-huh.
And so the nurse is putting the stuff in his eyes and the salve in his eyes, and he wipes it out. And so of course I'm looking at him, and so she's looking at me. I'm like, I don't know, you know. I'm just as shocked as you are. I don't know
Like,
either.
I don't like this.
Yeah, and so it was like, I'm like, are you serious? So it was. We stayed in the hospital a couple of days, and that first night or the second night he was crying, and we didn't know why. And
Mhm.
so the doctor came in, and she was like, well, he's probably hungry. And so we just remember she picked him up, and he grabbed her stethoscope. And she
Yes.
was like, Logan, let it go, let it go, let it go. And I'm thinking, you're only a day and a half, 2 days old. Who are you?
Yes. What
So
baby? Yeah.
even going back to be circumcised, the nurse brought him back and she said, out of all of the boys that we took back there, Logan was the one that was, making the most fuss, making the most noise. So it was right then where I knew it was like, no, God, this is your child. We were just being good stewards.
Yes.
We're just trusted to be good stewards over him. He is and I'm not just saying it because he's our child,
Our
but
child.
and I know sometimes people is like, it's like, no, he doesn't do all that. Oh no, and it's like, it's not that we put him above God at all.
Not at
But
all.
when you look at this child, he's a very spirited child.
Mhm.
Um, there are times when Mama, I need to, so it's like, Logan, get off the fireplace. But Mama, this is where I preach my sermon. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's walking around the house and, he may just bust out and just, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I praise you. I praise you. And I'm thinking, you just turned 3. I'm
Yeah.
not. So when and I
And to
tell people
everyone again, while we're doing this interview, he's 3 years old now because
3,
he's born,
he's
remember,
3.
December 24th, 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just 3 years old, and you wouldn't believe it unless we're gonna find out her social media pages, but she writes these stories that they have this conversation. She calls him the boy, and it's mommy talking. And you would be amazed about some of the things he says, and she's right. You may sit there and say he doesn't say that, but I've experienced some of it myself,
Yeah.
and, and she is right. And I think it's become part of everybody in him, the prayers over him, and
Yeah.
the brothers
Yeah.
in him, and he has a grandmother who constantly grandmothers who constantly talk to him. So this kid can't help but have so much in him that he has to get out. So I'm sorry I interrupted you, but I had to
No.
piggyback off of he is this kid. He is
He
a
is
miracle.
this kid. And that's how I know, I know he was God sent, and it had to be at the time because I delivered him, at age 45,
Yes,
so it was it 45? Yeah, 45. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. And so God and I had this you do know I'm 45, right? You do know this, right? You do know I'm 45, and you want me
because
to
you
have this
have
baby at 45?
the kids are probably years old in their teens and upward, from teens upward. Some, I mean, younger, I know, but yeah, he knows you're 45. God said, I
Yeah,
know.
you do know I'm 45. You do know that my friends have grandkids now. So what we doing?
He said, I know. I know.
So and that's what it was. It's like, yeah, okay, yeah, I know. So,
Yes.
it was, and I told my mom, and I talked about the whole age thing, and she was like, nothing phased her.
Yes.
Nothing phased her. It was like, no, because he's God. So what
He's
you mean?
God.
So,
Oh,
it's
faith.
watching him now, and just watching, now don't get us wrong. He is the one that still gets in trouble
Yes.
every single day.
Yes. He's a
He's
typical dog,
constantly
little
in,
boy.
he's still, you're constantly into things, into stuff. So, but it's the whole thing of understanding, God, we're giving him back to you. So we had him baptized
Wonderful.
at 3 months old,
Wonderful. So let
you
me ask
know.
you, what did having Logan change what you thought you knew about God, faith, and believing, if anything?
Um, we put God in a box,
Mm-hmm.
and God is like, don't limit me. Don't limit me by your finite thinking.
Yes. Yes.
Don't limit me. I'm God, you're not.
Yes.
If I choose to send you down this certain path this way, know that it's for a purpose. you know if I choose to, to take you through certain things, learn the lesson.
Learn the lesson.
Learn the lesson. So everything, and I told, and you and I have talked about this, several times before. It's like I'm looking at this blank canvas on
Yes.
the wall, and you see different pieces of your life. And the older you get and the more you walk down the path, the closer those pieces start to fit together.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then you start to see the bigger picture. So, even now, every day you have to realize that you are evolving. You will never know everything about yourself.
Exactly. Exactly.
You are evolving. So
Exactly.
it's the part where, that's why the path to me is so important, to enjoy the journey. you
Agree.
know the path has cracks in it. The path has speed bumps. The path has where you might get run off the road sometimes.
Yes.
You might get distracted by looking at the scenery on the path, but it's still the fact of God is saying, keep going,
Keep going.
keep
Keep
going.
going. And I think key is what you said always. It was always going back to that faith in him.
Mm-hmm.
It all centers to me around him. You need to center yourself at some point.
Yeah.
Even though we all go through those, all the examples you give, we go through bumps and we
Mm-hmm.
get distracted and looking at the scenery and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But we always have to come back to him, to me.
Have to come back to him. And it's interesting because I thought the church was like, oh well, no, So there was somebody who said it to me. They said, well, and people they started asking me, okay, so what are you gonna do about the church now? So
Yes.
you thought you were off the hook because you
Yeah.
had a baby? No, that's not how that works. So it was like, oh, okay, so I'm not off the hook.
Mhm.
Oh wow, okay. So
Mhm.
here we are.
Here we are. So let me go back and ask that before we go back to the church. Let me ask you something. What advice would you give a woman though who might be sitting in a hospital today, who has lost a child? Um, what would you share with her? And it could be some of what we just said, basically. You know,
Hmm.
but is
I
there
would
anything else you would share with her for someone who's experienced that?
I would say to live in the moment.
Yes.
Live in the moment. Don't allow anybody to rush you past the moment.
Yes. Exactly.
Don't allow anybody to tell you that you have to feel a certain way. You know, and this is something that has been with me for a couple of years now. I don't even know where it came from. It's feel how you feel, but don't get stuck there.
Exactly. I
Feel
agree.
how you feel, but don't get stuck there. Even if it's with your significant other, you
Yes.
know, have that conversation, that open conversation to say, it's not just me going through this. Hey, how are you feeling? Because,
Exactly.
even in the midst of the pregnancy with Logan, this is something that we'll talk about in the future, but my marriage took a really hard hit.
Really? Yes.
And
I read that about couples and couples dealing with it, and
mhm,
the stress and strain it adds to a relationship.
yeah,
Like every
yeah.
other thing, like a finance, but this is something major still.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So my husband was so focused on my grief that he did not deal with his.
This grief, which is so critical.
So yeah, it's very critical. So even within the family, if you have other children already,
Mm-hmm.
be open, have open communication. And it's nobody's place to tell you how you should feel. You should do this. You should move on from here. You should, it's seek God, and I know it's like, well, that's easy to say for some people, this and Andy, and you're right, it is,
It is.
you know, but even having that foundation, there were questions that I still had, and I did not feel guilty about having those questions, you
Exactly.
know, because you're the one who created me, so you you have all the answers.
You have the answers. Yes.
So who else am I going to ask? You have the
Exactly.
answers, so let me go to the source.
Exactly.
So, I would tell a woman who's sitting there, who's laying there, who's even past that moment where it may have happened 10 years ago, it may have happened 15,
Yes.
20 years ago. It's still, when those moments come, they were your babies.
They were your baby.
They were your babies. They were yours.
Yes.
You don't let anybody dismiss
Thank
the fact that they were your babies. These were babies that you carried, and they were in your life for a reason.
Yes.
Even if you need to ask God, what was I supposed to learn? What was the reason?
I
What was
always
the
believe in
reason?
that. Yeah. Asking what is it I'm supposed to learn in this situation?
Yeah, what's the reason? What was this season in my life about?
Yes.
And allow yourself to grieve.
Yes. Very
Allow
important.
yourself to grieve. Allow yourself to grieve. Allow yourself time to heal.
Mm.
Allow yourself time to
With
heal.
your healing, some people journal. I think since you're such a woman, you a wordsmith and you so like the organized person, did you
Hmm.
journal a lot of your feelings, or you just mostly prayed and, verbally express yourself?
I did. I wrote a lot. I cried a lot.
Hmm.
Um, it was, I watched, I had to pull up different sermons.
Yes. Hmm.
I had to have it where some, because I knew God was dealing with me.
Yes.
Even though he was dealing with both of us,
Hmm.
but there were some things that were specific to me.
Hmm.
So, I had to, however it came, that's how I had to deal with it.
Yes.
Even in terms of, I started back working out, during that season. And, so it was a lot of things that came along with it, but I didn't stop myself from grieving that time.
Yes.
So it was, no, you got to deal with this. I had to stay in the room. I go back to staying in the room. I had to stay in the
Mhm.
room.
Yes.
So if I would say anything, I would tell that, that mother, you still are a mother, you
Hmm.
know, I would tell you and your husband, stay in the room. Stay in the room. Stay
Hmm.
in the room. Stay in the room. So even though you
And
may
a lot
not,
of what I get from too is stay in the room too. Of course, along with everything you had already said throughout the podcast, is
mhm.
having that surround people, that group of people surrounding
Oh,
you.
definitely.
Everybody can't be. People love you that still can't be around you.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
critical. Yeah, I'm thinking as well.
And you have to ask God to show you who are
Yes.
those people
Who are those people?
and they may not be the same people.
Yes. Everybody got different purposes and reasons in your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody who loves you still, and we know a lot of people love you. That doesn't mean they need to be in certain
Mhm.
settings with you in certain times of your life.
Mhm.
In those conversations or those times when you feel like I need that person who's gonna believe what I believe and nothing more or nothing less, So it's just always making sure that because everybody don't belong in certain rooms.
They
So
don't. They
also
don't.
when you stay in the room, I guess is knowing who should be in that room with you.
And you have to pray about who's in that room. And even if you invite people in the room and they don't show up,
yes,
it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. I had to learn that the hard way.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's okay. There were people who were invited into the room and they chose not to show up.
Yes.
So it was okay because God did not allow them to.
Exactly, because he knows what's best.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very powerful. So let's move on because we'll be on a 5
I know forever.
Let's go into the blessing is here. We have our Logan. Now we go back just real fast to that you have businesses going. The church is still there. Like the person told you you said a few minutes ago, God still told you that it's time to start a church. So what happened in that part? Did you went back to that after Logan was born?
I did. I hesitated.
Mm-hmm.
The book came out.
Oh, the book came out first.
The book came out. So, I got back to the book. The book
and what's the
came
name
out.
Of the book again?
The book is Face Value.
Face Value.
Face Value. So it's kind of that as a female pastor. So it's the journey, again, the path of a female pastor, and it has to do with her marriage. Again, loosely based off of my own life.
Okay.
Of how, even in ministry, people sometimes think that you don't go through things. Yes. And they think that, well, you have a better relationship with God, or you're closer to God. So, no, you're not going to really go through anything. No, life still happens.
Life still happens, as you just explained in this whole interview right here. Life still happens.
So, it was
put on a different face for everybody. Right. Some people do put on a different face, let's say that.
And it's interesting because I was going to call it one thing, and my husband gave me the title for it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's awesome.
He said, why not call it Face Value? And I was like, oh, wow, interesting. So, it's how even in ministry, sometimes you feel the need to put on this certain face in front of people. But what is the real value of it? Yeah. There's a value behind everybody's face because everybody has a story.
Wow. Yes.
There's a value there.
She's a wordsmith again, everyone. Just keep saying that. So yes, there is a value there. So the book came out. Where is the book? You can find the book on all platforms, Amazon.
Yes, you can find the book on Amazon. And it's you can get the ebook, the Kindle version. Okay. Or you can do purchase the hardcover copy. So, I am. It's my baby. It was fun for me. It was fun for me because it's still Christian based, but it was people who read it, and interestingly enough, a lot of older people have read it.
Really?
And they're asking me, well, where's the second book? Well, what happened to so it's very interesting. And that's what I wanted. I wanted it to be where they're inside the life of this pastor, this female pastor. Yes. And it's, like, wait a minute, what? It's like, oh my goodness. Because, people kind of put you in a certain category if you say you're a pastor. And it's like, no, life still happens. Life happens to us too.
Yes, it does. It certainly does.
Yeah, it happens to us too. So it was fun doing it. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to do it. I did it actually in honor of my mother's 75th birthday. So that was my gift to her, in addition to the church. So it was, something that she had been pushing me to do the book for a long time, to the point where we would go to the Christian bookstores and she wanted to take everybody else's books off the shelf. And no, you can't do that because they'll arrest you. Okay. Yeah, right. They will arrest you.
Because she wanted your books there.
She wanted my books there. You can do just as good. So, it was that push, and I did not want.
Encouraging.
Yeah, I did not want to, anything to happen and it not come to fruition. And a friend of mine made it very clear to me. She spoke to me about my husband and my mother, and she said to me, they deserve a harvest on the seeds that they've sown in your life.
Oh, wow.
They
That's
deserve to see a harvest.
because who has been your biggest supporters and
Yeah, through all of this.
caretakers and watching
Yeah,
over and
yeah,
believing in you, of course, and your vision.
yeah,
So that was powerful. That
yeah.
was,
They deserve to see a harvest. So, that stuck with me.
yes,
And it was, nope, let's keep going. You still have purpose.
yes. So then you got the book out, the church in process.
Mm-hmm.
Still got your little Miracle Logan running around. You're
Mm-hmm.
building the church. And so what's the name of when is the church open now? I know the answers, but
The church vote. So our first official service was October 18th, 2020. And that was interesting in itself, where it's like, okay, God, we're in the middle of, and that was another piece. God, we're in the middle of a pandemic. You don't, you,
this is
you still
during
want me to do what?
COVID-19, the year
This is
2020.
this is 2020. And you want me to start a what?
Yes.
This
Birth
year?
that finally bring it on out. It ain't easy and at an easy, it's not during a easy time, let's say it that way.
Right.
And
This
you
year?
want to bring this
You
out.
you want me to you want me to still start a church in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Logan didn't come just right away, and we came with a lot that some women didn't have to deal with. Now
Yeah.
the church in the middle of a
Yeah.
pandemic. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then, even with that, it was okay. So now not only do, the ministry begin officially, but now we have a building.
Yes.
So, okay. So, even still questioning that sometimes it's like, okay, but we have a building, but who's going to come in the building? Because, so when I tell you, I'm still at that point where it's okay, God, okay,
Trust.
God,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
You
okay,
said do it. I'm
yeah,
obedient.
okay,
So what's
God.
the name of your church?
The name of our church is PowerPoint Christian Ministries, and our thing is where worship is a lifestyle. Where
Mm-hmm.
worship is a lifestyle, and that was given to me years ago. Years ago, it's where this is the place where we teach you that when the word of God and being a part of a ministry, it's so that you can learn how to live in the world. You
Yes.
know, you're in the world, but you're not of the world.
Yes.
So, how do I live in a world, especially now, the times that we're living in? How do I apply this where it's not just a Sunday thing? Worshiping God is your lifestyle. That's your life. That's a lifestyle.
Yes.
It's a 24/7, 365 thing. Does it mean that you're going to be perfect? Of course not.
Mm-hmm.
Of course not. But, at best I can, you gave me the gift of life. So how I live it is my gift back to you.
Yes. That's
So
wonderful.
it's where worship is a lifestyle. Yeah, PowerPoint Christian Ministries. I'm excited. We're still in that beginning stages. We're 3 months in.
Yes.
So, God is still dealing with me about some things. And of course it took me way out of my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm. And why is that?
Um, more so, I'm the behind the scenes, I'll push everybody else. We'll push you out there. We'll promote you. We'll support you. We'll help you organize. We'll help you plan it. And now God is saying, however,
Yes.
now it's your turn.
We want you to be the center of attention.
Now
And
it's your turn. And it's very uncomfortable.
mm-hmm.
It was going from doing prayer ministry every week, or preaching every now and then until to now it's you're conducting Bible study every week. You're the one who's ministering to people publicly every week. So in addition to being wife, in addition to being mom, in addition to being a teacher, in addition to, doing business, in addition to, still working on books and that kind of, in addition to going to school. So
A
it's
lot.
quite a lot. But
And
but
again, you said your son, but an active 3-year old, I
and an
mind you,
active 3-year-old. Yes.
with a big
So with
personality.
a huge personality, a huge personality. So, in addition to, having that downtime with family and that kind of still being a friend. And
Yeah.
so, I'm enjoying my journey down this path, although it has been difficult, and this is just part of it. So,
Yes.
the kids, the babies have just been a small portion
Yes.
of the
Yes.
path.
So let me ask you this. So now that the church is up and running, how can people uh tune in, because since a lot of people are not in the church right
Right.
now, so how can people follow you on social media, log on to church, your services, the times, and all? Tell us about all of that.
So you can follow me on social media at I am Pastor GC. That's
Mhm.
Facebook, that's Instagram, that's Twitter. I am Pastor GC. And we have service every Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. We are live on Facebook. Also, our Bible studies on Tuesday evenings, 7:15 via Zoom. So all of our information is put on the PowerPoint Christian Ministries Facebook page and our Instagram page. So if people want to tune in, we encourage them to do so.
So with the book, is there a part 2 coming out with the book, since people were asking you about it, the book Face Value?
Yes, there is a part 2 coming out. I'm actually, it's in the works. So I'm excited
Wonderful.
about part 2. Part 2 has a very interesting twist to it. So it's not going to be, I don't want people to look at me kind of differently, like, now she pastor.
For thing. So let me ask you this, so we can wrap up. Do you have any last words you want to share before we end this call?
I just want to say how proud I am of you for taking this next step. It is really going to be a blessing to so many people. And, just the opportunity. I was telling my husband the other day, I was like, just having these conversations and having conversations with you helped me to get through 2020. So everything that I'm doing now is you have helped me to do the work in the room, so that I can stay on the path. So just thanking God for this opportunity, any opportunity that he gives me. I tell people I don't take it lightly. There's nothing that I'm doing that is just so, miraculously special. Only just being obedient.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
being obedient, being obedient and being open to what it is he has for me to do. And although, it takes me out of my comfort zone, although sometimes that introvert piece kind
Yes.
of takes over, where it's like, but realizing that we're not here to keep our testimonies to ourselves. Our testimonies are really meant to be a blessing to other people,
Yes.
because we're all in this thing together, especially for everything that's happening now. I tell people to continue to trust God. I'm not going to say it's always easy, even for the pulpit.
Yes.
The pulpit and the pew go through some of the same things.
Yes.
So, that's something that we all have to understand. It's just your path may be different from mine, but we still have to walk one.
Amen to that. And once again, tell us. I will put it in, once the show is coming out. I'll put all your social media and how to connect with you there, so people can go to your website. And if you have speaking, or you looking for someone speak for speaking engagements and connect with you again, they can go to your website, and all of that information is there.
Yes,
Right.
they can go to my website. My website is www.lscm633.com. LSCM633.com. LSC Ministry 633.com. So again, you can email me, lscministry633@gmail. So people can reach out to me via messenger, any of those means.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Well, great. Well, once again, it's been an honor. This woman has so much more, like she said, that she could go into. She is such, I mean, all she's a great speaker. She's one who can, give her one subject, a one word, and she would find a whole. I think she can preach about a word. And if you are looking for someone who wants to, you want to pour into you and your ministry, or you as a person, follow her every Sunday at 10:30, and come to her Bible studies, and you will hear so much more. She does Bible study like she's teaching a class in a lot of ways. So I think that is going to change. I told her one day, because she's not going to be able to have everybody on Zoom. So, but she will find a way. She will find a way, I'm sure. But she is such a colorful person who can speak in terms where you understand and relatable. And she loves teaching, and she loves everybody transforming their lives as well. Pastor G's Path is your survival guide to show you getting through losing 2 sons and all she had to go through to make sure Logan was delivered safely, that it can be done. And you can go through this. You can get through this as well. With faith in God, surrounding yourself with like-minded believers and those that will trust and believe with you, you can make it through some devastating times in your life. Put your faith to work. Do not place your identity in motherhood or infertility. Regardless of our ability to get pregnant or carry a pregnancy to term, don't put your identity into not being able to have a baby, or just saying, okay, you have a baby. Just don't put your identity into that. Put your identity in who God made you to be, because he's making you this way. He's taking you through this situation for a reason. Purpose is bigger than obstacles. Do the work, sister. There's purpose on the other side of your obstacle. Your path can be repaved, as Pastor G has shown you. We thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Thank you again, Pastor G.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everyone, for hanging with us. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and other platforms, so you can stay up on our bi-weekly real conversations with these bold women. You can follow the PATH Podcast on Facebook at the PATH Podcast, and on Instagram and Twitter at the PATH_podcast. And if you would like to be a guest on the show or have questions for a future show, you can email us at thepath4ward@gmail.com. That's thepathforward@gmail.com. And if you're looking for a speaker or you're in need of a life coach, please reach out to me. Again, at thepathforward@gmail.com or at ACKORLEH@gmail.com. Thank you. Until next time.